The boys are back. The boys are back. The boys are back, and we're looking for trouble. Yes, we are back after a 2-week layoff. It is the DADBODD podcast, and we are live coming in from the DADBODD studio. I am Guns Picks, and I am always to my right, my brother in arms, as I always say, the man, the myth, the legend. They do call us the Gun Locker, as I always say. Lock Bets, what's going on, my friend? How you been? How you living?
What's going on, Guns? The electricity that comes through my screen when you intro anybody, I mean, even the show, any intro that you do is electric. I mean, I don't know, is Vince McMahon hiring the guy that does Let's Get Ready to Rumble? And then his brother does UFC. I think you would be great.
Well, I heard they have strict drug testing there, and they might find the PEDs that give me the lift to be the host.
We don't want that. We don't want that because if they check my urine, they're not getting any further than they're checking yours. Anyways, it's good to see you, brother. Been at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think without a show. Could be 3.
Yeah, I think it's you have the holiday, obviously. You have vacations,
right?
And your boy had COVID for a week too,
yes.
So finally caught me. I don't know where, I don't know how, but it was a brutal ride for about a week, and unfortunately, I was incapacitated for a while. But as a group, it's not football season, thankfully. It's kind of that lull period. Where I was thinking about this on my ride home today. It's kind of like that, you see the calms of the seas, the wind's not really blowing a little bit, but that hurricane is on the horizon, which is football season.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you while I got you on here, basketball's over, college basketball's over. You basically only have baseball and golf. I know you're a big golf bettor, so you have that going for you.
Right.
What do you do during this time period before football starts? Do you bet on obscure sports, or do you get outside and tan and smell the air and just breathe it in?
Well, that's a great question, Guns. And luckily I do not bet on obscure sports. I think that was something during COVID that, remember at the beginning of COVID, we kind of took on some Korean baseball.
That's right.
We may have taken on a few
Russian ping pong.
Yeah, Russian ping pong. I mean, I think there's still some cappers out there that literally grew to fame because of their KBO plays or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm steady Eddie in terms of, like you said, golf. Thursday to Sunday, golf's a grind. I mean, I tend to also drink during the weekend, and I may or may not be live betting golf a little bit too much. So by the time Monday comes around, I'm usually licking my wounds. I try to get a nice matinee baseball game. I mean, lunch baseball is pretty good. I mean, lunch baseball gets us going, right? I mean, like the San Francisco Giants versus the Rockies at 3:00 on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with that.
I do like I do like how the Nationals have games at 12 sometimes or 11, and you just kind of look at what's on the roster. It's Wednesday. There's usually early games, so you go and look, and I'm like, oh, look who we got here. Washington's playing the Cardinals at 11:30.
I feel like they're the same characters that are getting these slots too. I mean, you see the Marlins, the Nationals. Orioles. Yeah, Orioles are at the noon slate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But that keeps you busy, right? That keeps you busy.
It's enough. It's enough when you're, if you're an office jockey like myself, you can sit at your desk and you can kind of put the you can put the scores on one screen while you're trying to do your work on the other, and your fellow employees or coworkers are looking at you like, why are you screaming miserable C word? I was like, well, the 5th inning is a bitch, and I'm an F5 guy, so it's I don't know. I think I try to find there's always a period for me, because I get way into college football, that I know there's a stopping point to baseball. I don't know if you ever stopped betting baseball, but there's always I'd say once August 1st hits, that's always kind of I got to start prepping.
I mean, I this is actually the few months where I tend to not do as well in baseball. Late May, early June. Now we're in July, but late July, August, right before that playoff push, that's where these teams are really making a name for themselves. And I mean, I prefer to gamble on MLB July, mid-July. So I guess we're approaching there.
Yep.
Guys, if you're listening, it's coming, guys. It's coming. But
it's
I don't
that
know.
it's that post All-Star break, I think, is when things get ramped up. That's kind of the opportunity to kind of see. You'll have all the trades that'll happen, all the guys get moved, and then you'll see the teams that are going to make that playoff push and kind of position themselves, especially with the expansion of the playoffs now. You're going to see a lot more teams playing competitive baseball versus the ones that are checking their tee times and trying to figure out what they're going to do in the offseason.
Yeah, because right now you still got those mid-range teams that are still believing in their season, and they're still upsetting, like the Pirates beat the Yankees 2 days ago. I mean, that was an outlier. Shitty baseball team. They're still fighting for their lives with a few of their veteran bats. Daniel Vogelbach. I don't think Daniel Vogelbach is the future for the Pirates. I think his future is on a bar stool probably, and maybe doing this one day.
Yeah, people forget to realize, like, how is the Pittsburgh Pirates beating the Yankees? I'm like, because there's 162 goddamn games.
Yeah,
it's like that's why. And sometimes the Yankees just probably played a barrel of series in front of that, and they did well, and they thought the Pirates were a break, and that happened. They own the I mean, listen, the Pirates own the Dodgers too. So when you see those matchups. I mean, I don't say full game. I'm F5 with those guys, and usually
you're F5 baby, bro.
I love a good plus 175 team going against a team that probably thinks we'll get past this 3-game stretch, and then we'll maybe get a day off, and then we'll hit the weekend. We've got to play the Red Sox. So I mean, that's
it happens. I mean, it happens all the time. Every night you're going to have a dog that's plus 160, plus 170. The problem is if you have a series of those dogs and you ride it the wrong night, or the second wrong night, third wrong night, that's why you looked to guys like the handsome fella to my left, or to your right.
That's correct. Hey, don't sell yourself short, my friend.
Yeah, you got to listen to the experts, because it's not easy, man. It is not easy. What's the biggest surprise this year? I mean. Let me think. Other than, the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan. This was a bit surprising. I didn't think their pitching staff was what it is today. I would say. Are they going to choke in August? Are they going to choke in September? Probably. But any other surprises in the pipeline?
You know what? I think the American East is going to. The AL is going to be the one that I have question marks all around, because really there's only 4 teams that are really above 500. So you have all these, you have the Central and you have the West as other than Houston, other than the Yankees, even Boston being 11 or 12 games over 500 right now, I think roughly maybe 13, they're still way back from the Yankees. So you have these 1 or 2 teams that are dominating right now, and then you have all these other teams in the mix that anything could happen. You may have a team that's 500 winning their division right now. I'm speculating here, of course, but
I mean the wild card is going to be pretty wild. I mean, you're going to have some pretty middle of the road teams sneak in there.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
We can talk about that with our guest anyways, because he's an MLB guy ourselves.
Yes.
But I want to get him in. He's waiting patiently in the queue.
How much did you pay him? Did you pay him yet?
We're still in negotiations. There's contracts going. We're going back and forth. He doesn't like a few of the lines.
Maybe Pun Picks has the money for him. He'll send him the money. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, Odds is our accountant, so I think he's going to be the one that's going to be sending the money. He has the checks. He owns the checkbook, the pocketbook, or whatever you call it now. Let's do an ad read, and let's bring our guest in, shall we?
Let's do it.
This podcast is sponsored by
Viva Tequila Seltzers. That's right. This podcast is sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers. Viva Tequila Seltzers is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and 4.5 ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations as it was created for the active lifestyle in mind. Viva flavors their tequila because flavor is the spice of life, and they like their drinks with a little bit of a kick, just like they like to live their lives. Viva flavors pair perfectly with their artisanal Blanco tequila for a subtle and refreshing drink. Their belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Hashtag Viva. And please check them out on Twitter at Viva Seltzer. Give them a follow, give them a like, give them a retweet. They are a great sponsor to the podcast. But we have a guest.
Wow.
So you've been to Philly multiple times, correct?
Yeah. For mostly better, for better for worse. But I think I may be getting locked down in Philly somehow. But yeah, that's another story.
So I want to talk about famous things in Philly that people don't know. You've heard of the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
You've heard of Gino's cheesesteaks. You've heard of Water Ice. You've heard of John's. You've heard of everything about Philly. You've got the Phillies, the Broad Street Bullies. You name it all. But this is the one that is the most famous of all because it's in his name. He's based out of the East Coast. He's been capping over 10 years now. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He's first time on the DADBODD podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, PhillyPhan, what's going on, my friend? Welcome to the DADBODD podcast.
How are you guys? Thank you for an amazing introduction. See that?
Hell yeah.
I really appreciate that, man. And it just goes to show you that Boston fans and Philly fans can harmonize together, right?
They have a lot of similarities.
They do.
Yeah, they hate their opponents.
Yep.
They hate Santa Claus.
Right.
And they throw ice balls at him.
No,
I think there might be a jail in the stadium too. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
You're not wrong. I think there's a lot of similarities with the fan bases. East Coast fan bases, man, they're always rabid. It doesn't matter what the sport. It seems to be very passionate, and I respect that as much as I know. We're not supposed to like Celtics fans, and I'm not supposed to like. What? It's all good though.
We all hate New York. That's all that matters. We all hate New York.
Yeah, we both hate that.
I'm
right?
stuck in the middle between these two lovely gentlemen. I'm a North Jersey guy, born and bred, and
okay.
But recently, I'm a transplant. I've adopted this city of yours. I've been
okay.
I met a girl from Philly, and
really?
She doesn't have hair on her mustache, and she doesn't smell like complete shit. So
she has a crazy right hook, though. Really knocks the jaw off.
Oh, I wouldn't fuck with her. No, I wouldn't fuck with her.
Are you in the city, or are you like outside of the city?
So she lives in Fishtown area.
Oh yeah.
Fishtown.
It's up and coming, man. Up and coming.
Yeah. I tell you what, I was a little skeptical in the beginning, right? You see the zombies, the guys that are their heads are down by their toes, their tongues are out, and they probably don't know what day of the week it is, let alone the last day they showered. So that was getting used to, but fuck yeah, I love it here. It's cheap as shit compared to up north. I mean, so she just bought a house in Port Richmond, another up and coming area.
Yeah, dude. I'm very familiar. That's funny. I mean, Fishtown, when I was a kid, I used to play soccer in a travel league, and like they didn't even have grass on the field. I'm not even kidding. It was like a dirt field with glass. It was broken bottles everywhere, like a shithole. But
you should have bought a condo back then.
What's that? Say it again.
You should have bought a condo that day.
If I could have predicted that it would have really turned around, maybe I would have considered doing that. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Welcome to the city, brother.
Thanks, bro. Where now? Before I don't want to get too deep into your roots, but are you down like South Philly or something, or where are you in Philly?
Born in West Philadelphia when I was young. My mom went to Overbrook. It wasn't the greatest area in the world, so they kind of moved out of there when I was young. I moved to like the Ben Salem area, like right outside the city. and I live in the suburbs, right out like in the Southampton area.
Okay, sweet.
But I'm always in the city. Like my roots are from Philly. My whole family lives around that area, so I mean,
Yeah.
it runs through my veins for sure.
Ben Salem. I was hanging out in the Delaware River on Monday at Columbus Country Club in Ben Salem.
I know, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not too far from Parks Casino. A lot of people like make that reference because it's like, we're talking about gambling. There's like, man, that's cool. Very cool. Nice little area.
Cheers, man. Thanks for coming.
Cheers to you as well. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you said you were from West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Yeah.
Was the playground where you spent most of your days?
Yeah. I used to chill outside, relaxing and maxing, shooting beat ball out by the school. A couple of guys, though, they came around from my hood, started making trouble, that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
They sent me along.
We like to throw in the ad libs here. So let's learn a little bit about you and I guess your capping origins when we ask new guests that come on.
Sure.
You have a lot of experience. It says it right in your bio. It says your expertise. You're very transparent as far as your picks. How did you get started in the sports gambling world?
Well, my love of sports has been my entire life. Honestly, it kind of just started with that. A few years ago when it wasn't as accessible and you had to go like the weird bookie route or whatever, I didn't love that aspect of it. So a lot of times what I was doing is I always had a love for like breaking down games and trying to find edges and seeing if I could figure out who was going to win. But it didn't always mean I was wagering on the game because the access to the bookie was it was a weird specific situation. And then when everything started to become more prevalent, it was actually like, even my girl at the time, she was like, you're excellent at this. This is something that you're very passionate about. And that's when it started coming where I'm going to really put my money where my mouth is kind of thing. So as long as it's been going on for a decade, it's more of a recent thing that I'm doing this almost every day is what I guess I would say.
Mm-hmm. What sports do you really focus in on? I mean, there's always that degenerate way that says like, I bet on everything, including Italian soccer. But I mean, what is the sports that like from January 1st to December 31st, which ones do you focus on the most?
So mostly it's going to be Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, and I do some college basketball as well. When we got shut down from COVID, I actually was quite a bit involved with the KBO, which is kind of weird, but like, I always thought, if you may not be able to pronounce the names, but the numbers and and the narratives and the statistics, they all coordinate. And then I find myself up at 4 a.m. watching these games and like learning the league. So I did a little bit of that. I did a little bit with WNBA as well. But, you get spread thin. You can only do so much as one human being. And, you can spread yourself out and get killed. I feel like I just like to focus on a few major sports and move on from there.
That's funny because the DADBODD's origin story was KBO. I mean, that's where it come the camaraderie. Yeah, and it came because baseball capping is the same for if you're doing it internationally or you're doing it in MLB. But it's narrowed down to 6 to 8 teams.
Yep.
And like you get into it, you do your night bets, you go to bed and you wake up and you just see if you won. I tell you what, I hate it. This is why I'm a F5 guy for life now, is because of KBO bullpens during COVID. 100%.
Oh my gosh.
Worst.
You're right. You're right. They were trash. And there was a lot of first 5 in bets placed. I remember I used to joke around when Chris Flexen came to Seattle. I'm like, I used to ride him a lot in the KBO. Chris Flexen. Look at that guy. Used to rip.
Yeah, that's right. Up. That's right. He was. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh, KBO dude. Shout out Dinos.
Yeah. So, if it wasn't KBO, it was, Russian ping pong. You're trying to find some action in the Russian ping pong section.
You must have listened to the first part of the podcast because that's exactly what we were talking about.
Oh, no, it's funny. I did not hear that.
We were literally just saying that.
Yeah, we were talking about stuff that, we talked about COVID and it was like, this is kind of like the lull before like the hurricane comes in. Cause when football season hits, it's just work grind. But this is like baseball is kind of like, at least from my perspective, doing the research, it's really looking at my spreadsheet for an hour. When college football is a week or NFL, it's the same thing. It's like trying to figure out the edges and just buying good numbers.
What
So
is your like, are you more of a like just looking at numbers and narratives and that kind of thing, or do you like to like incorporate the eye test too? Because like for me, I have 55 TVs go, like I want to watch the games too,
yeah,
because I feel like the numbers don't always tell you everything. You could look at a box score and not really, guy might have got drilled hard all night long in a baseball game, but they just
yeah.
happen to find gloves and you go, oh, the score was 3-2, but really he got knocked around all night long. And it's kind of like, I feel like that's a big part of it, at least for me anyway.
I think I'll answer this first, Locke, then you can answer yours. But mine is more number driven and box score for the most part. Once I start college football, I try to watch as many games as possible because I think it's important to look at eye tests, especially if you're looking at teams of like are they sluggish on the road? Is the quarterback looking okay? Has he got a bad ankle? How do you look the week before? Are they coming off a high win when the band, all the crowd came in and just celebrated? How are they going to do the next week? It's all motivation factor in that one. So that goes beyond the box score. Baseball, I feel like I can get a lot more accomplished just looking at the numbers, where I'll watch the games that I want to watch, and I don't feel like I have to watch 6 or 7 TVs for baseball. And I love watching football too. I mean, it's kind of like I can watch baseball for maybe half hour, and I'm just like, I need something else to watch. It's really hard. I'll look at a box score. I love numbers, so that's kind of my way of looking at things. I don't know how Locke does it because Locke's system is he keeps it under lock and key. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's under lock and key. No, I mean. I'll say, I definitely am not a pure contrarian bettor. I don't follow where the public's not going. So I do take some high numbers occasionally because of the eye test. Like you said, I love ringing a hot wave, a hot team. I do love riding the hot hand. I don't really believe in they won 2 in a row, they're definitely gonna lose tonight. Like I just don't, I think that's the exact opposite in a lot of cases. But I do like to see, I look at the money splits. If I see that it's lopsided, like if the 20% of the public is on a team, but 65% of the money is on it, that's something I keep in mind. But I watch a ton of sports. So like, I I have 6 or 7 TVs like you. MLB TV was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me because now I can literally have 7 games on at once. So I like to think that I'm kind of like the slut when it comes to capping because I take a little bit of everything, right? So I may take a little bit of gun style, I may take a little bit of Philly style. But I am consistent with that system. But
no, I think that's good. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with adapting too. I mean, you can always grow and learn. I mean, you never know everything. And I mean, I can tell you just being in this space, and being on Twitter and, talking with like Shark and you guys and stuff like that. It's like, you get other perspectives. You see the way other guys' minds work, like, and how they look at a line. And this is as well as I do. There's plenty of blowhards around that, that you're like, what the hell is this guy even talking about? And there's a lot that you respect too. And the ones that I respect, I mean, if I'm on something and they're like, let's say the other side, like there's a few guys where I'll go, damn, that bothers me a little bit. Most of the time, that's not the case. If I believe in something, they're not going to sway me. But there are a few guys where you like, you listen, you go, I respect his mind. And now I kind of like worry about where I'm at. So,
I do that more. I do that more.
It's tough. It's because once you start second guessing and then you start buying into that narrative.
100%.
Then you're kind of dead in water. Then you're dead. Then
you're not wrong. And sometimes you get into like a chat with a bunch of people and like you got all these. Then you start talking yourself off shit. Sometimes it can be difficult,
I try to there's sometimes where I just don't look at the chat while I'm doing my capping because it's going to sway me one way or the other.
You're not wrong.
It's very easy, like when you have a cold streak too, and that always happens to everybody.
Yeah,
is like you start going into the chat, and then you may think, okay, I'm on team A, and then you see that everybody's like, no, this, and then you flip, and I was like, I just rubbed my fucking cold streak on you guys. My bad.
yeah, I feel you with that. I also feel like, you can sometimes, if you get into one of those streaks, you can sometimes get a little bit almost gun shy where you're like, your process is telling you this is the right play, but you're like, holy shit, like everything's been fucked. Like what the hell's going on? So you might pull back or you might be like, and then when it hits you, like, I fucking knew it. So I think, yeah, for me, no matter what, whether I'm hot or whether I'm cold at that particular time, I'm always trying to be consistent with my process and do it the same way each time. Like if I get up in the morning and I'm looking at MLB games, I will look at the opening lines as soon as they come out tonight at midnight or whatever, and I'll write down my what they call first glances. I'll just write down what I initially look at and go, I like that, right, and then I'll break them down and I'll dive into them more and go, okay, now I don't like this one as much, or I can see why. And then, and then obviously lineups start to come out and you're like, well, now I may not like it even more because I thought this dude was going to be in and he's not. And that's kind of how I do it. I kind of go into like a 3-step process before I really have a card.
Yeah, I like writing down the lines as soon as they open, and I'll just keep that or I'll screenshot them.
Screenshot, yeah.
And then I'll check them as I later in the day, like maybe 3 or 4 hours before first pitch, just to see how they flipped. If they flipped like one way or the other, I'll take it into consideration. It's not my whole entire process,
right?
But it that it's important to look at that. Like when you look at MLB lines, certain guys deserve to have -200 money lines or -300. Verlander had did he have 300 -300 today?
It was around there until the lineup came out for Houston, which was lacking a little. It came down slightly.
Yeah, and he was coming off a loss too. I think he got crushed. He gave up like 7 runs after 5. I think I saw that. So you see those situations like that. But if you see like Cole getting a -165 against a mediocre team that's got a pitcher that is just above 500, that kind of like raises eyebrows. Do you look at stuff like that and take that into consideration?
Yeah, 100%. And a perfect example of it. Earlier today, like the game we were talking about with Verlander, whatever the hell he was, -280. And you're looking at that and you're going, all right, they don't have their whole lineup's not even in. It's kind of a weird lineup. And I really thought there was some value on the Royals. And frankly, if you watch that game, I mean, they blew it. I feel like they could have scored 5 runs more than they did. They blew the game late. Of course, their bullpen stinks, I know, but I thought there was some value on that. Obviously it didn't work out, but I would never be able to back up -280 in that particular position. If I'm on that game, it's going to be on the Royals or pass. But yeah, there was a game not long ago where Kopech was pitching for the White Sox. This was like maybe a game or so after he came back from his knee injury.
Right.
And he was a -165 at home. And everybody's like, oh, what value on Kopech? And I'm like,
no,
dude, look at his velocity. It's down. He's coming off a knee injury. He got fucking wrecked that night. And I'm like, yeah, no, there was no, I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I do absolutely agree with you that you can find spots like that. And I think the more you do it every day, you recognize those lines when they come out. You're like, that's funky right there.
Yeah. I think, it's important to like, okay, you do your research, you look at this and go, oh, it's obviously this take. Look at the line.
Yeah.
Just make sure that the line agrees with the pick, because it's okay to take a -220. It's like you can take him on the run line at that point. But I always recommend 5. It's like you're only going to get 5 to 6 innings out of this guy, and then you got to go to the bullpen. So I'm always like, I'd rather have 5 than full game. You guys, you full game fucks are crazy.
You know what, man, I agree with you to a pretty good extent. I mean, it can be nauseating taking a full game. My whole thing is like, first 5s can be, you get a situation where like you lose your first 5 play and then it wins in the long run, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you're
6 innings. Top of the 6th.
Yeah, exactly right. But like some of the things for like, for example, this is not 100% across the board, but like I'll have a guy buddy will text me and be like, yo, Yankees tomorrow -1.5. And I'm like, okay, yeah, probably. But like, I don't necessarily like betting home teams on the run line a lot, because I was always worried about getting backdoored with not having the last at bat. Same thing with team total overs. You take a team total over on a home team of 4.5 and it's 4-3 in the 9th and they're winning. Well, guess what? You're not getting that other at bat. So I always it won't talk me off a game completely, but it's something that I always consider.
Right. As far as other sports are concerned, like let's talk NFL, because you bet NFL. I mean, what kind of things do you look for, like prep wise, early in the week? Do you buy lines immediately on a Monday or a Tuesday? Are you one of those guys, or you wait to see what the market does and do your research a little bit? Well, wait till the injury report comes out.
I honestly think it's a little mix of everything. There are times where I've taken an early line. I've also gotten very bit by that with like when the COVID shit was out, guys would be out.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would say more towards midweek. mid, like say Wednesday, Thursday is for Sunday games, I'd say is when I'm pretty confident on something. I might hop on it, but I can't lie to you and tell you that I haven't bet on an opening line. And occasionally I'm waiting until closer to the kick because I'm not totally sure, kind of how it's going to move, or maybe if there's a guy that's going to be in or out that I'm a little bit worried about.
Yeah. And if somebody shows up on the injury report, or like, let's say the starting quarterback leaves in the third quarter on a Sunday, and you're like, oh, he's definitely going to be out next week. Let's get that line on Monday. And then he plays on Sunday, lights it up, and you look like an idiot. So
you're right,
ways, man.
And frankly, you're putting yourself out in the public like this. I mean, you have every opportunity to look like an idiot when you do something like that anyway. So,
is it? God. Like,
I want to say
jump on this move real quick before the line moves. Jump on it real quick. Hop on.
Is there nothing better to find out on, say, like a Tuesday or Wednesday that a quarterback, the starting quarterback's not going to play and they're going to put in the backup? The line's set at like 3.5 and it only moves to like 4. And it just sits there. I was like, oh, I was like, I'll just let the public just feast. I'm gonna rock the backup. That's what I'm gonna do.
Success with backup quarterbacks. I like the backup quarterbacks because you know what, the entire team is full speed ahead. You got this backup that can do decent enough to get 3 more points on the spread. Sometimes 2.5 points more. 3-4 points. I think it was the Dolphins last year. We did it on our NFL show, and Tua was out. And I was like, no Tua, no problem. Jacoby Brissett. It was versus the Texans. It was the Sharky show. And I think they blew him out by like 28 points. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, it's not as easy as saying, oh, your starting quarterback's out. Why wouldn't you hammer the Texans, right? The entire team is still, a pretty well-oiled machine. Especially with a guy like Brissett. I mean, he's been there before, but I don't know. I've seen both sides of it, so
sure.
I don't know.
NFL is so sharp, man. That's those lines. Everything is so sharp and so hyper focused on. You got to. I mean, in my opinion, I know there's guys that love to spray the board and will bet everything, but I try to pick my spots as much as possible because I feel like you can get so fucked in the NFL if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's always great. The one other thing I want to make a point at is like when you're preparing for a starting quarterback, they prepared not just for that week. They prepared, weeks ahead in a lot of cases, looking at film. Yeah. Now you got to prepare for a guy that you've maybe never seen.
So true.
You don't know what his cadences are. You don't know what his strengths and weaknesses are. You kind of have an idea, but you don't, from a defensive coordinator's perspective, and the players, they don't know how to set up for those guys. Whereas the offenses work with him in the preseason, worked with him at practice. Those guys get reps. So it's kind of like the switch off is kind of fluid for the team dealing with the backup versus the defense that has to go against him. So that's kind of like a point to make there. So you're on TikTok.
Yeah, especially if you have
Oh, no, go ahead.
I apologize. Yeah, sorry about
that. I was just trying to. I was trying to.
No, I was only going to say, especially. No. I was going to make a point to what you said. It was just like, especially if you're 2 quarterbacks, like totally, you got like a mobile quarterback that's backup or something like that, and you're like, how do you prepare for a mobile quarterback when like the other guys stand up, throw in the pocket like Tom Brady, and the guy that comes in behind him is like a run quarterback? It's sort of a weird dynamic too.
Even when like Lamar Jackson was out, I think it was last year. Like who was the backup? But he stepped in and lit the turf on fire. Not Hundley. I don't know.
RG3?
No, it was last year. It was the backup. It was
he was their RG3, but that's not who he's talking about.
He was like an undrafted.
I don't know. Tyrod's
wasn't the dude that played for Temple, right?
It could Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley.
Huntley, yes, right. For UCLA. Yes, UCLA.
Yes.
Yep.
Dude, he stepped in. He stepped in and lit it up. Like, I think it was 1 or 2 games, but sometimes you don't have the tape on them. Like sometimes you don't know how they're gonna, react in that game. And when you game plan for Lamar Jackson all week, I would, any backup quarterback will fuck up that defense. Pretty good.
So true.
And Tyler Huntley went to Utah. We're not talking about
Utah.
We're not talking about the other Hundley.
Yes.
I don't know what maybe. Yeah, you know, I'm thinking of the dude from the Carolina Panthers that played for Temple. So yeah, that
Robbie Anderson.
No, he was like a
Oh, PJ Walker was Virginia Tech.
the hell was his name? I cannot believe I can't remember his name now. It really doesn't matter. It's all good.
Was
all
it
right.
PJ Walker, Virginia Tech, or Temple? He might have been Temple.
Was PJ Walker Temple?
PJ Walker. That sounds. I'm pretty sure that was his name.
I think that's Temple.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think
he wasn't bad.
You know,
he's athletic.
Let's talk.
He's a Temple man. PJ Walker.
I told you.
Temple.
I was like, I think that's Temple.
Good knowledge, man. Good knowledge.
Well, that's why the Shark and the Gun college football preview show is for.
There we go.
That's how we know it. All right. So I saw, I went, doing a little bit of, cramming research on you. I know you're on TikTok.
Yeah. Never thought I'd say that.
Yeah. So you actually have a pretty decent following on TikTok. I think you have over 10K. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So I only have like 100. So
it's difficult, dude. It's difficult to grow, man. It is, but yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So
what's your handle? How can we follow you?
I think it's PhillyPhan, right?
PhillyPhan _215, I believe is what it is.
All right.
Yeah. Feel free to follow Gunspicks on TikTok.
I will absolutely do that.
I'm working on it. I just started. So I guess as far as from Twitter to TikTok, what do you have to do differently as far as content is concerned? Do you have to be a little bit more focus more on the entertainment end, or do you have to be a little bit more?
I 100% think if you don't grab somebody's attention almost immediately, you don't get fucking any algorithm time at all. Like I used to go on there, right? And I would say, okay, I had an MLB play, and I'd be like, all right, I got a Major League Baseball play today. Got Verlander on the hill, and I'd go down, I'd break the whole game down for 3 minutes. And I was getting no watch time at all, really. And I was like, why are these videos getting nothing when they're winning and I'm giving you breakdowns? I thought that's what people would want. It turns out it doesn't. They want you to be like fun. You almost have to be a content creator. Like, come up with good info, and maybe you want to have your bet, but do something that's going to capture the audience for at least a split second and then give them the play. Yep. Nobody wants to fucking hear your whole diatribe. They just want to know what the hell you're betting.
No, that's the old school versus the new school. Cause obviously I am a little bit younger than Guns, who could be my grandfather, right? Guns?
Maybe your dad. Maybe your dad. Especially if I got my high school girlfriend pregnant, sure. God.
No, but I think we've all talked about it so many times. It's like the correct format has to, like you said, catch the eye right away, get to your point, and then end it. That's why TikTok's a pretty solid, platform to make a 20-second video or even like a 10-second video, right? Or 15.
Correct. And I was reading some of the stuff about the algorithms. They're like, you want to try to post at minimum 3 videos a day. You want to try to post, and they give you times like East Coast, post between 10 and 12, post between 12 and 2. You want to do it consistently. And apparently, if you can keep your clips like 60 seconds and less, like that's more ideal, even though they give you like a 3-minute option, but I will say this, man, and I've asked other guys in the space, I have almost 11,000 followers, but there are times where I'll put out videos, they get literally like 140 views. It doesn't actually make sense to have that little views with that many followers. It doesn't. So I'm like, am I getting shadow banned? I can't figure it out. And I've had other guys be like, dude, I haven't seen your shit in 3 months. And then I'll just randomly pop up on their feed. I'm like, why is that? I don't know.
I think I'm on a list because on Twitter I was on a nice upward swing. And then the last 3 weeks I've been losing followers, and I don't appreciate it. So Twitter, if you're listening to this, cut it the fuck off. All right, cut it out.
You know what Twitter is? Twitter is you basically just have to keep commenting on other people's shit.
Yeah,
and you have to do it consistently.
Twitter's also a fucking cesspool.
And then you just do video plays, and that's pretty much how you do it. And you have to do it so consistently. You have to make it your job. I hate to tell you how many I get. A lot of, actually, for a guy that gets 165 followers, I have like 300 to 500 views on my videos. So
I mean, that's exactly there you go. There's almost my point to it. Like, how does that even? That doesn't even mathematically make sense.
No, it doesn't. I was wondering. There was one that had like over 800, and I was like, why does this one have over 800?
Well, you know what? Guns also watches a lot of MILF talk. So I don't know if he's in that
No,
algorithm. So he may be pushing like mom,
Yeah.
a lot of women.
I had to like kill some follows just to get me off that shit. So
Well,
get me
one
back
of
on the
the-
gambling algorithm.
one of the things that will help in that, like, I don't know how far into it you saw, but like, do you remember it was the Cowboys? I almost wanted to call them the Redskins, but we can't say it. The Cowboys. We'll call it the Cowboys game. They were playing. They got into a fight on the sideline. The Washington football team. Do you remember that this past year?
They're not the football team though. Now they're
Well,
the
yeah,
Commanders.
they're the Commander. I apologize. You're right.
The
I got to
Guardians,
remember that.
right?
The Commanders.
Listen, I call them the Redskins too.
They've been the Redskins my whole life.
I love
mean,
correcting
Washington
people
Guardians.
who feel like they have to correct themselves.
I just right. Well, I might be canceled for saying that. So I don't know.
Yeah, now you're definitely fucked on TikTok. You're done.
Exactly right. So I don't know if you remember that, but there was a couple guys that got teammates for the Washington football team got into a fight with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I
Yep.
put a little video like on TikTok of that particular thing with like a little ad lib behind it, not really expecting anything, honestly. And it got over 1 million views, and I was blown the fuck away.
What the fuck? Really?
100%. Oh yeah, and I said to my buddy, I went viral, and he's like, "Oh, for what?" And I showed it to him, and he's like, "Really?" And actually, they flagged me on it originally and told me it was for content. I forget what the reason was. They gave me so the video got essentially banned. I had to do an appeal. And I'm like, "How are you banning something that I literally filmed off the friggin' TV set? Like it was a national football game." And they were like, "Oh, you won the appeal," and it came back on. But yeah, it got 1 million views, and I think that's why it partly started blowing up the way it did.
Wow.
Damn.
So, you just
I've
gotta
been
find
fla-
something funny, man. Something funny, something that'll
Yeah.
catch somebody's attention, and
Right.
that's kind of how it works.
Nobody likes boring, man. Nobody likes boring.
I
If
tried
you
it,
guys
yeah.
don't mind, I'm gonna go to a place where I have a little more light.
Yeah,
I didn't
go-
realize I was
yeah,
gonna
go
lose
ahead,
my
take your
son.
time. Yeah, we're good.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
take your
cool.
time, but we're not going to take too much of your time,
So-
right?
No, you're good. I got nothing. I realized I'm turning pitch black out here. and
Yeah,
the
I
sun
saw
went
that. I
down.
saw the lighting was getting bad there. So
What-
I guess
what
I
do you
want
think
to.
about? Oh, sorry,
What?
Guns.
While we have a little bit of break, he's getting into the light. I want to talk a little bit of shit about Pun while we're on the podcast. He wanted to talk about college football, and he wanted to talk about NILs. I think NILs are great, and I love the transition and the chaos of college football. Thank you, NILs. That's all I'll say about that, because Pun can't argue now.
I'm with you on NIL. I just think I just think these kids are making, let's say, $1 million for like a typical NIL contract.
You're right with you guys.
A big time player. Let's say he's a small time player making 100,000. I am always skeptical because the man is always getting money that we're not seeing. And if these NIL kids are finally profiting, I still think these companies are making even more money now because they're NIL athletes. So I'm just a little skeptical because NCAA football used to be able to sponsor a team or a league, and they would make tons of money. Now these companies can just sponsor one player, and that player can profit that company millions and millions of dollars. So it's all fucked up in my mind. But I love how these players are getting compensated.
I think the colleges are getting a taste. I think the government is getting a taste. So when you hear about a $1 million contract, you're probably he's getting 400,000.
Right.
Still a lot for a college
yeah.
kid that is getting free room and board. So I am all for it because they weren't getting paid before and their likeness was getting used a ton. And I missed NCAA football so much because they used to come out in July, and that would get me to football season all the time because I would just create a team or I'd create a franchise and I would just run with that every time I had a free moment. Back to the show. We've talked about NILs. We're here with PhillyPhan. What's going on?
No worries, sir. Sorry about that.
Great lighting.
When does Reggie Bush get his Heisman Trophy back? I mean, that's like pretty ludicrous.
Yeah.
That should be an appeal because
It should be.
he got NIL'd or his mom got NIL'd a house.
He was the best fucking college football player in a decade, maybe at running back, and you're gonna just take it away from him because he had a few Hollywood movie stars and his family.
And what about Matt Leinart? Let's take his Heisman Trophy away. You don't think he got paid?
Matt Leinart, man, the fucking stinky leg, man, the hefty lefty, man. Imagine him in today's game. I don't think he would be very good.
Probably not. I mean,
I guess back in that era, like he could just stay in the pocket in college football and like sit there for days, but nobody was pretty surprised that he didn't do anything in the NFL.
How many of their quarterbacks really have done much in the NFL? I feel
USC.
Yeah, I mean,
none.
Yeah,
Pac-12. I mean, if you go to Pac-12 quarterbacks, you want to go California, because you had Rodgers, and you had the Super Bowl champion himself. So, I mean, there's different pockets where you get quarterbacks. I mean, you don't get them. Big 12 is one place you don't want to get a quarterback, because they just run that spread offense and is very much sandlot ball. But if you can run a pocket passer that runs a pro style offense, those guys kind of already know how to read a defense because they have to. So those are the guys that get picked out. When they said Sam Darnold was going to be the next so-and-so, I had a talk. There's a Michigan fan I had a talk about today. That's so ironic you brought up Sam Darnold. And I was angry. I was punching my fucking steering wheel talking about Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold out there seeing ghosts, man.
Yeah. Well,
this
you saw the
podcast
Patriots.
is brought to you by Bods. Grab your red wine now before it runs out. When you start talking about Sam Darnold, you make me want to drink. I'm a test season ticket holder, which I tell people that, and I hope nobody thinks that's like a cool thing to be, because I have had to witness every single game for the last 7 or 8 years from the 300 level, and the tailgates are phenomenal. The coaching sucks, and the quarterback usually sucks. So.
I think you have Wilson's going to be fine. I think he just needs to get protection.
I think his balls just have to drop.
He showed high hopes that was a little bit different than the other quarterbacks, but sophomore slumps do happen. They can also happen to my Patriots. I just want to bring this up while everybody's on the podcast listening right now. So I have a first 5 play. Actually, I got 2. It's in the same game. It's the Giants and the Padres. I want to give San Diego money line -125 in the under 3.5 in that game. Musgrove is 9-2 overall in F5s right now, and he's given up no less than a run in his last 4 or 5 starts. He's going up against Webb. I know it's a short line, but I think the Giants are still overvalued. They're always favored in a lot of these games, and people still like the Giants. They love to bet the Giants. I think Musgrove is going to be too much. I still think it may be a little bit of a sweat in an F5, but the under will cover me. So I'm going to be going San Diego money line F5 in the under 3.5 first 5 innings. Anyone else got to play? Feel free to share.
I'm not okay. So I didn't make this official, but it was damn close. The line moved a little bit. There were 7s out there in that game, full game. I think under 6.5 is still playable, but that's where I'd be. I like your under. I would be under as well on that. I was really close to going there.
Yep. I think Webb will kind of show up on this one too. I mean, the line is -1. I saw -140, 145 in some spots. So
under 7 is juiced up right now.
Man. It is. It was like -120 or -120.
Yeah, I got it at -120. Sometimes a juice line is kind of the line to take.
Yeah. I mean, it gives you a little bit of it's got to get to 8 to lose, I guess. So, I mean, I guess maybe, right. But if you could only get 6.5, I wouldn't hate it. It's a little scary though, but you probably get it at plus money.
I mean, you look at the starts with. I mean, people show up when Musgrove pitches because Musgrove is like one of the top pitchers, at least for San Diego. He's definitely the top pitcher, and it's like one. If you look at the first 5 splits, it's like 1-1, 0-0. 2-1. So it's kind of like always hitting under that 3. So that's kind of, and especially at home. So that's kind of like the spot I'm taking.
Yeah, man. I mean, any guy you pitch for the Pirates, you leave and then you become an ace. I guess that's the way it works.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine at work that he's a Pirates fan, and I was like, it must be aggravating that you have to see all your pitchers just dominating for other teams while they can't afford them. They have a salary cap of like $3 million.
Shame. It really is a shame because they got some young talent. And they're not going to be able to keep half these guys. So
well, they sell them off for a elite farm system.
They do.
Then they come up and then they play for 1 to 2 years and they're gone.
Can't afford them.
How many years is it's going to? I mean, O'Neal Cruz at some time is going to be he'll be a Yankee at some point.
Some of those pitchers on Oakland, I was thinking about those guys a lot. Oh God, my brain's fried right now.
Montas?
So
Barry Zito.
Yeah, Montas. That guy is the most unluckiest pitcher in the history of MLB, and he pitches so well.
Yep.
And that's going to be a guy that if I was a playoff contender, I would do everything I could to get that guy.
I agree. He would be a huge addition. I mean, they give you 2 runs if they're lucky.
It's like, what do you need? 2 runs?
Yeah.
Get to 3. How about that?
It's the same shit with Sandy Alcantara. I mean, the guy, look at those numbers, dude. Like he puts up 1 run, he goes 8-9 innings. I mean, they score 1 run for him, or they just barely win games for him. It's crazy.
It's like, I have to shut out everybody, don't I?
DeGrom had the same issue, dude. They didn't score for him either.
Yeah, he's gonna be coming back soon. I think he was in the he had a start just a while ago in the minor leagues. So
correct. Yeah,
that's the best pitcher in baseball by far.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. He's pretty good if he stays healthy. There's no doubt.
Any golf picks there, Locke?
No. I'm eyeballing the Mariners. I don't think the Blue Jays have put much on tape to really believe in, and I don't think their opener has much merit. I think the Mariners pitcher keeping his ERA low at home. I think the line is a little bit interesting in the sense that this guy for the Toronto hasn't had a career start, and Toronto is like 1-7 in their last 8. So I'm going to go with Mariners. But
yeah, Gonzalez is pitching for the Mariners. Mariners are playing well at home. Banda, I guess they're going to be doing a bullpen game for Toronto, it looks like. This guy with no stats, or the guy's going to try to pitch 4 or 5.
Right. Or the guy that starts his Hall of Fame career tonight. So
it seems like when a guy that hasn't had it's their first start as a pitcher, like I've noticed at least for the first 5, you should just take the under blindly because it seems like, the public just kind of smashed. It was like, who's this guy? Oh, they're going to get 9 runs on him. And then all of a sudden it's like 0-0 in the 4th. So it's just like.
I did like the under as well. I also like the Padres, but you guys stole the thunder with that. So couldn't go there.
Oh, is that I guess it's a podcast collab.
Yeah, I think there's some good alignment there. But
I like it.
Okay. Well,
I guess for the first time on the wait, hold on.
Coming to you live from the DADBODD studios. This is a DADBODD exclusive.
For the first time on the DADBODD podcast, we have a full collab. You might as well take them full game. You can take them F5. You can take them however you want. It's San Diego tonight, boys. That's how we're going to end the podcast tonight, boys. So that's it. Take San Diego, ride them to the moon.
A little sprinkle in the under, maybe.
PhillyPhan, you got anything to plug?
No, I mean, if you want to check me out on Twitter and also on TikTok, I'm always having content on there, and I hope to be doing some more live content coming up with any anybody that wants to do something. I'm just talking to a couple of the guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on. This is awesome. And
you'll be back.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again if you guys want to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, we keep
absolutely. We'll have to get the Shark Man, or we'll have to get the Italian Stallion, or what's his name in our chat now? The Italian Degenerate.
Yeah, exactly, the Italian Degenerate.
Yeah, we'll have to get him out there, and we'll get a quad box, and it'll be fun.
I would love that, dude. Anytime. Thursdays always work well for me, but if you do any other day, I mean, I can figure it out. It's not an issue at all. I appreciate it.
We work with our guests because we love our guests. That's how we do things. We open the door for you, and we just present you, and we just let you out into the world. That's going to do it for the DADBODD podcast, episode number 85, I believe it is. I got to do my counting one more time. But till next time, we'll be back next week to talk more sports, more banter, and more bullshit. Peace.
Peace out, guys.